Hi, everyone. This is Clark Yakavakis, one of the instructors for course L13 at FSCI 2022, using the Orcid, Sherpa Romeo, and Unpaywall APIs in R to harvest institutional data. So the purpose of this video is to go through some of the setup steps that are required for to go forward in the class. Really want to encourage you to take the time and do this ahead of time so that we can really focus on running the code and not getting everything set up during the course. So please do take the time to watch this video. Or the alternative will be to look at the steps in the Slack workspace, and we'll talk about that. So right now I'm on the course OSF page, which is osf.io/4DMFZ. And this is kind of a landing page for a lot of the necessary links and setup steps and other information that will be required throughout the course. You can see that it's linked out to the GitHub repo that's got the code and that we'll be using during the course. But what we're really going to be focusing on here is what is in this wiki box. So to view that entire box, you want to click on this read more, and that will allow you to see the whole thing. So we'll walk through this kind of step by step. First thing to do is to join the FSCI 2022 Slack workspace. It's really important for this class that you do that because it really makes troubleshooting during the course a lot easier. It's really not easy when you're teaching code or learning code to use Zoom to communicate that information, especially if there's a lot of participants. So please do take the time to register and get set up on the FSCI 22 Slack workspace. And so once you do that, you'll be added to the channel for this course, which is L13. And you can see here, as I mentioned, we already have all of these steps laid out. So we got the steps laid out in multiple different places, and they're all the same. But here is where you'll have the opportunity to ask us questions, paste in, maybe you're getting an error message, you're not sure why, so you can paste that error message in, or you can paste it in code, and we can kind of help you troubleshoot it and figure out what might be going on. Of course, whenever you're writing code, you're going to get errors. So it happens to all of us constantly. Probably for every good line of code we write, there's 25 bad lines of code or more. So that's not a real statistic. I just made that up. But it's really helpful to have a place to talk that through outside of Zoom. So do please join the Slack workspace here. And if you have any questions on that, you can email FSCI-info@force11.org, and they can help you get the invitation and get it all set up. The next step is going to be to sign up for Orcid. Orcid is a platform that assigns unique numeric identifiers to individuals, especially individual researchers. And so if you don't already have an account, click here and you can sign up. Since I already have one, I'm going to go ahead and get signed in. Sorry if you can hear my dogs barking in the background. They're getting some of their morning energy out. All right. And what we're really going to focus on is getting the API key. So following these steps here to get that key. Do that, you're going to click on your name in the upper right corner, and you're going to go down to Developer Tools. And so what you're seeing is not going to be the same as what I'm seeing because I've already signed up for an API key. So what you should see is a button that says register for the free Orcid public API. And because I don't really want to show you my own secret credentials, I'm not going to go through it step by step with you here. Just kind of review these steps. So once you click on that button, you'll agree to the terms of service. And then you'll see a form there where you can fill out information. So just put your name in the name field. Just put orcid.org in your website. Put getting public API key in the description, and then just put orcid.org in the redirect URI and click on the diskette button. Now save that information, and then you'll get a little gray box there that's got your client ID and your client secret. So what I really want to recommend that you do is to create a new either text file or a Word document, something where you can save some of this information. So for example, what that could look like is just a blank text file where you say Orcid API key and you say client ID, and then you copy and paste that here. It's secret, and then you copy and paste it here from the Orcid page here under developer tools when you click on the show details. And that way you'll have it handy when we need to use it in the class, and you'll just be able to paste it directly into R. And you don't have to take that time to kind of log into Orcid and look it up and everything. All right, so that's pretty much it for the Orcid API. Next thing you're going to do is get an account on RStudio. Click on this link here. And you can either just register with them directly, or you can, if you can log in with your Google or GitHub credentials. And that's what I do. I sign in with GitHub. And so you'll want access to RStudio Cloud. I think it's already saved my information, so it just logged me in right away. But for you, it'll give you the option to put in your GitHub or your Google username and password, and that should get you to this page, which is you'll have no projects. We'll go through this next step in class, but I want to give you kind of a sneak preview for how we're going to be creating a project for the class. And what we're going to be doing is actually cloning it in from a GitHub repo that we've created in preparation for the class. So what we'll do during class is, and you can do this ahead of time if you'd like, I click on new project and new project from Git repository. And then what you want to do is come over here under quick info and grab this link for GitHub home. Paste that in. And what that will do is that will create the project that will bring in all of the code files and the structure and the file directories that will allow us to use those code files. So you only get 25 hours only. I mean, it's pretty generous. You get 25 hours free a month to use RStudio Cloud. So I'd recommend don't start eating those up right now. Just kind of wait for the class just in case, so you can really make full use of RStudio Cloud during the class session. And everything that we do in RStudio Cloud, you'll be able to do in RStudio standalone application, and we'll talk about that during class. But yeah, you can see here we have code files that we're going to be using, these empty data directories. So yeah, and we'll talk more about RStudio Cloud during the class. I'll just close out of here. Next up is going to be to get set up with a Sherpa Romeo API key. So to do that, you'll go ahead and register with Sherpa Romeo. And I'm already logged in actually, so I'm going to log out real quick and then click on that again. All right, and what we've found is that the confirmation email from them went to our spam folders. So would recommend, as we note here, that when you register with them, when you register with them, either use a Google or non.edu domain, or go through and add help@jisc.ac.uk to your safe senders email whitelist to make sure you get that confirmation email, because you can't log in to Sherpa Romeo without that confirmation email. All right, but once you do get that, you'll log into Sherpa Romeo, which we'll do here. And this is actually going to display my API key for all of you to see. So I'm going to go in and change it afterwards, which they say you can change it in your profile, which is right here. So yeah, once you're signed up, you should have an API key right away. If you don't see it, you can click on this admin tab. And again, grab that API key, come over into your document and say something like Sherpa Romeo, and paste that in there, and then save that so you have it handy. And we'll be using that on the last day of class to query the Sherpa Romeo API. And they have their documentation and everything right here too for easy reference. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for Sherpa Romeo. The next thing you want to do is to get your university's Ringgold ID. There are several institutional identifiers. There's Grid, Ringgold, now there's ROR, a few others. To make things simpler for this class, we're just going to use Ringgold, but we'll talk about how you would use other identifiers in order to cast as wide a net as possible. But the problem with Ringgold is that it's proprietary. So I do have a link here to look it up in the Ringgold database, but you have to register to use that. And if you've ever done that before, then you have like a 7-day trial that then expires and you can't log in with your guest credentials anymore, which is really annoying. But there are a couple of other ways that you can find your university's Ringgold. So we'll talk about that now. One way is to add an institution to your Orcid ID. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my name and go into view my Orcid record. Right, and under employment, I'm going to click on add. And I'm going to start typing in my university, Oklahoma State. So once you see it in this drop-down menu, just click on it and it will populate some of the other fields. If you want to go ahead and fill out other details, you can, but you don't have to. And then just click on Save Changes. And then you're going to want to come over to that entry and click on Show More Detail. And it may show the Ringgold here. Okay. Doesn't always. And here's an example, CU Boulder, where if I click on Show More Detail, it does not give us the Ringgold in the Orcid account. It gives us several other ones, but not Ringgold. So if that's the case for you and your Orcid profile does not give you your Ringgold, you can usually get that from Wikidata. So come back over into OSF, and I'm going to click on the Wikidata link. We'll look up University of Colorado Boulder. And then I'm just going to click on Control F to search on the page. And then you see the Ringgold ID there. Right? So once you find your Ringgold ID, again, just kind of copy that and come over here, paste it in. If you want to get the grid, we will talk about that. So if you want to also get the grid ID, and the ROR, you can get that too. We're also going to be using the email domain, or what CU's is. But like for Oklahoma State, it's okstate.edu. We're going to be using all of that when we look up individual Orcid profiles for your institution. Right. So, and then, if all of that fails and you can't find your Ringgold anywhere, let us know and we'll think of a strategy for you. So, or if your institution doesn't have a Ringgold, we might have to modify and use a grid or just remove the Ringgold lookup altogether. So, and then at the bottom of this page here, there's a couple of use studies to kind of get you thinking about what you could do with all of this data that we're going to be using during the class. It's kind of a sneak preview. Go into the course structure. So we'll give you an overview, just a quick overview of the RStudio interface, just to kind of make sure you're able to navigate around and follow what we're doing. Then the next step is going to be to get Orcid IDs for everyone at your institution, or as best that we can. And that will be done using this code too. So again, as I mentioned, everything that we talked about, we try and hit you in multiple different places with. So so it's also here in the setup, and we'll talk about all of this during class. So we'll set up, we'll get your Orcid, your credentials and everything set up. Then we'll go through and add the information into the R program. We'll send the query to get all of the Orcid IDs. We'll get employment information for those people. So in other words, we'll be able to get which employment records they have associated with their ID. Then we will get all of the scholarly works that are associated with each individual. So for example, here for me, I have 41. So we'll pull all of that data in, and we will then query Crossref to get a full set of metadata for those works that have DOIs. And we're only going to work from 2021 forward to keep the data set somewhat manageable. So we'll get the Crossref metadata for each record that has a DOI. Then we will query unpaywall to get information on whether any of those articles are open access and where the open access versions are available. And then we'll finish up with Sherpa Romeo, where we will get items that have an ISSN, and we'll query the Sherpa Romeo database to get information on journal publisher policies to let us know information about those individual journals and whether what kinds of open access permissions authors have. So yeah, that's kind of a real quick overview of where we're going with all of this. We're really looking forward to working with you. Again, you can get to the Zoom link from this OSF page. Always hit us up with any questions that you have on Slack. You can email me directly if you want to. And yeah, I hope that you are able to get through all of these steps relatively painlessly. Please let us know if we can help. And other than that, we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.